meeting, Corinne. I have 7:06. Apologize for the delay. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. This meeting is being recorded.
And broadcast via our local cable access channel, WCAT.
Ooh. Can you hear?
Can you hear?
Yep.
Join the meeting.
Can you hear?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And my laptop is going nuts. Okay, I'm going to say this again. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast via our local cable access channel, WCAT, Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. If anyone in this audience is recording, please let us know. We are not recording here except for the WCAT.
Also, if anybody's going to speak because of Zoom, would you please say your name and if you're a resident or not, and come up to the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you. Minutes? Do you have a chance to read them? Corinne, you didn't send us the minutes. Okay, so all fences are down. I think we should remove that because that is not indeed true. Corinne, on the minutes,
Okay.
it's the second line down.
Yep.
But otherwise, I think we're good. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes
Make a motion to accept the minutes with changes
for October 15th,
For-
2024?
October 15th, 2024.
Second.
All in
Karen
favor?
Dustin.
Aye.
Say your name.
Philip Woodford.
Aye, Karen Dusty.
Aye. Joyce Ihacker. Corinne, can I have the bills? I'm going to wait till 7:15 to open the hearing.
Yep.
Ah, excellent. Okay, can I have a motion? To pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay Turley Publication for a legal ad in the amount of $62.60. And JRB Wetlands Consulting in the amount of $805 even. Valentini Land Care LLC in the amount of $510. And Local IQ New England in the amount of $49.38.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Karen Dusty.
Aye, Philip Woodford.
Aye, Joyce Ihacker. All right, let me see, Tim's. Go for signatures. Oh, thank you, Philip. Yep. Corinne, do you have? The certificate of compliance paperwork? Andrea,
Just in case you need to.
okay, excellent. We are going to look at the certificate of compliance for Coy Hill Solar for ZPT. Hi, Andrea. Are you the only person here?
No, I am here tonight with Pete Flynn from Zero Point. And then Andy Glines from Fuss and O'Neill.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We have the whole crew here.
You have the whole crew there. I just don't, oh, there's Pete. All right, very good. So 0 Point ZPT has a solar site on Coy Hill. Pete, when did we start this process? 2017?
Probably, yeah.
I'm gonna have to turn you down. Okay, try that again.
How's that?
Even more.
More. Turn it down a little more.
I don't know if I can.
I don't know how we do it either. Okay,
How's that?
that's good.
Okay.
That's good. Okay, so around 2000.
Right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so on this site, I'm not,
Pull up the plans. We have done this for years. There was a wetland replication performed by Andrea Kendall from LEC Environmental. There are several basins on the property that are within jurisdiction and a settling pool in jurisdiction. What else am I missing? I think that sums it up.
That's right, yep.
We, as in Philip and I, went on the site, we walked the whole site with the three that are represented here today, and we looked at all the wetland replication and all of the stormwater devices, and everything is in order. The replication, this is the third year. The replication looks fantastic. The site looks good. It's stabilized. Everything that we were looking for has been accomplished to any practical extent possible. So with that, we have a certificate of compliance that we can issue, and the paperwork is right here. This is your file. I just want to show you your file. Can you see it? And that's only a part of it. The multiple set of plans are somewhere else. So can I have a motion to issue the certificate of compliance, a complete certification for ZPT Coy Hill?
Make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for ZPT for Coy Hill.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye, Philip Woodford.
Aye, Karen Dusty.
Aye, Joyce I. Hawker. All right, we are gonna sign this, put it in the mail, and you should be all set.
Perfect. Thank you all.
close of our chat.
Okay. Thank you. Corinne, did you? Oh, it is, okay. That's it? It's more than enough. Okay, I'd like to open the public hearing for a notice of intent for 0 Cronin Road and 452 Cronin Road. Who is here to represent that?
What's this one?
Where would you like us to put the easel, just for everyone's viewing?
Let me see. Well, we have 2 audiences here. Primarily, we're the most important, so how are we gonna do this?
Well, I think if he just brings it a little bit closer, the owl can pick it up and it will actually be there. Is that too close?
Andy would like me to stand at the
Yeah.
same time? Okay.
If you can, you know, I think that this is gonna work. The other thing is that I can actually pull this, not that view, but I can pull this project up. But let's go with this for right now, and I can share my screen and pull the project up.
It's just be a little hard for me to refer to anything on here at this point.
Okay. You're not gonna be able to see it at all.
It'll work, it's all good. I think that's perfect. We just get a super good close-up of you now.
Sure. Okay, so for the record, my name is Eric Lass, professional engineer with Beals and Thomas, here on behalf of the applicant, ASD Cronin Solar MA LLC. We filed a notice of intent for work within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands for a utility access road, utility poles, and a stormwater management system at 452 Cronin Road. The exhibit that I have up here is an aerial. I also have the site plans on the opposite side of this that I'll show as well. I just wanted to provide some overview in terms of the context of the site and the existing conditions present there. So 452 Cronin is a residential parcel. There is an existing single-family home that's not currently occupied. At the site, there is a driveway that goes up to that house lot currently. And for orientation, north is going to be to your left, or on this side of the page here, south to north. So we have east and west. Cronin Road is located here, and there is, along Cronin Road, there are 2 drainage inlet structures.
Oh, can you point to where they are?
Yeah, so there are 2 along the frontage of the site. This is the locust property here with these black lines. There is an existing drainage structure located in this area and another here, and there's a 3rd one located on Cronin
Okay.
here as well. And they're all on the same side as the locust property as well, all those drainage inlets for the road. The site is sloped. It slopes from the street up to the back. There is about 60 feet of grade change down from Cronin Road. We're about elevation 860 up to about elevation 920 up in this part of the site back here. There are areas of woods along certain portions, but since this was a residential home, there is an area around the house that has been cleared, particularly here up in the back as well. And the proposed work, when we became involved with this, it was in August. One of our wetland specialists went out to the site, Andrew Gorman, and he did a delineation site visit to determine the presence of jurisdictional wetland resource areas. And through the course of his findings on site, there were 3 different areas that were flagged for the commission's review. 3 different wetland series. So we have the A series wetland located here on the south side, and it extends off-site onto this abutting property. Our delineator's opinion was that this A series wetland was an isolated vegetated wetland, but did not have the characteristics of a bordering vegetated wetland. And in our opinion, would not be jurisdictional under the Wetland Protection Act. In this central portion of the site here along Cronin Road is the B-series wetland, and that was found to have the characteristics of a bordering vegetated wetland. And here on the northern side is the C-series, and that as well appears to extend off-site onto this abutting residence here. This we determined to be a bordering vegetated wetland as well, which would be jurisdictional. So the B-series and C-series wetlands would have a 100-foot buffer zone, although on this exhibit it'll be more clear on the next sheets that I show. To give you a sense that the 100-foot buffer zone extends approximately around to where the back of the house is here on the site. So everything, from here down to Cronin would primarily be within the commission's jurisdiction. So in terms of the proposed work, necessitating the need for the notice of intent is for the construction of a gravel utility access road. This proposed road here is about 550 feet long in total. When we were looking at the layout of this, we made sure that our primary intention was to avoid and minimize impacts, direct impacts to the wetland, the B and C series in particular, and to minimize the amount of work that we were having within the buffer zone. Given that this proposed road is 20 feet wide, it has a maximum slope tolerance requirement of 10% to it. We oriented this to generally follow, to some extent, the existing driveway. However, this existing road is wider than the current driveway and it extends further, so there is a change in cover type. And that cover type necessitated the need for a stormwater management system to mitigate peak flows. And we were also able to mitigate peak runoff rates and volumes as well there. So I'm going to switch to the actual site plan set that we submitted with our notice of intent.
Okay.
But I want to provide this aerial just because it provides a helpful picture to get a better sense of existing conditions on site. Oops. So the way we set up sheet 2 of our set really has our site prep plan here. It's part of this is the scale of the project. It is a relatively small area, being that this is a residential home lot. So we have our existing conditions and site prep. Here you can see a little bit more clearly, perhaps, depicted in green, the B series and the C series wetlands. We did outline the A series because that is subject to the commission's peer reviewer, finding whether or not they concur that that is in fact an IBW and not a BVW. We have the 100-foot buffer zone that I had noted here. As part of the project, the existing home on the site will be demolished and removed. And that existing home is currently impervious. So one of the net benefits during site prep is that there will be a net increase in impervious area with the removal of that home. So as part of the project, the removal of impervious with no new impervious being proposed will naturally promote infiltration on the site compared to current conditions now. We are proposing erosion and sedimentation control barriers. Beals and Thomas has had a lot of experience with construction of projects, and our current detail is really 2 BMPs. We use a staked and embedded entrenched sill fence with a compost filter sock in front of it. Traditionally, it was straw bales and the sill fence, but we find that the compost filter sock tends to hold up longer term and does a bit better job than the straw bales, so.
So one of the things that I don't see on the plan is erosion control near wetland A.
Yes, given that if this is in accordance to the way we identified it, in fact, an IBW, it would not be subject to jurisdiction and therefore is not protected under the Wetlands Protection Act.
You're putting erosion control all the way up, and there's nothing on the side that is also covered from Wetlands Protection Act?
Well,
But
there is,
that
it's
little
extending down-
spot, you're not
it's
going to?
extending down right through here. The ECV.
No, I see you're doing erosion control along the whole site, and there's, I'm wondering why you have it on the whole site and not on that little spot right there. Like literally, your
It's-
entire site is
It's
covered.
right down, it's going right down the property line.
Oh, it
there.
is?
Yes.
I don't see it at all.
Okay, we'll make sure it's clear on the plans.
Yeah, I
So,
don't see it at all.
okay. Yeah, like, so expectation is that this project's being peer reviewed, right, so.
So, yeah, I got the results late this afternoon
Oh, okay,
and was able to look at that.
I
That
see.
is only something that I was like, I don't see the erosion control in front of that, but it
no,
also
I think
looks
it's
like.
it's right on the line,
Okay.
so, we can make sure that that's clear. It's not a that little bit is not gonna,
Yeah, I know,
Yes.
I was like, why would they skip that?
no,
You know,
I think
or
the
is it-
intention is it's just parallel with the property line there.
Yeah, I couldn't see it.
Apologies for that. We also are proposing erosion sedimentation controls around the B-series wetland here as well. Here you can get a better sense of the proposed access spur coming up. Given the gradient requirements of this road at 10%, and the fact that this will be, there'll be some cut needed here, it's necessary to have the road pitched into a swale to collect and convey the stormwater runoff from this gravel surface to a stormwater BMP. So that's the need for having the swale on the down gradient side of that road, because otherwise, without the swale, the road itself would act as a swale, and we don't want the water traveling down the road and out into the street unmitigated. So the road will be pitched off to this side, runoff will be collected and conveyed down to a stormwater BMP. We did receive the file number and comments from Mr. Stinson from DEP, which we appreciate. We expect that the peer review comments will likely be duplicative of the comments that Mr. Stinson raised, as well as perhaps others. All of the comments that we received from Mass DEP, the peer reviewer and/or the commission this evening, we will formally address through a comprehensive response to comments letter, where we put each comment in italics and our response in bold. So we will follow up in advance of the next hearing to do that in writing. So all comments will be addressed, and if new calculations and/or plans are needed, we will submit those with the letter at that time. So are aware of the fact that this was called out as an infiltration basin, which would not be allowable given the setbacks. However, for detention basins, this BMP would be able to be sited here. So our intention at this time is that since there is no new impervious and the existing home will be removed, which will actually remove impervious area on the site, there won't be any further need to do more infiltration, because the stormwater BMP, even without the infiltration component, is mitigating already rates and volumes, and still maintaining a foot of freeboard with no outflow out the spillway in a 100-year storm event. So there won't be a need by having this be a detention basin to do test pits out here. And if there, depending on the comments from the peer reviewer, we have the option too of putting a sediment forebay in the up, in this case it'll be the eastern side of the basin, just to help promote sediment capture in that BMP. And the intention here is that the outfall from this, again, the rates and volumes coming out of that basin will be less than pre-development, but that any outflow from this basin will go into the existing drainage structure that's along the side of Cronin Road. That really entails the intention of the project, the resource areas. We outlined, you know, the performance standards in the act within our notice of intent filing.
Yeah, I saw.
Looking for, you know, any comments that the commission or peer reviewer has on the actual delineation or the stormwater design.
Sure.
in particular.
So actually, I'm gonna start with a couple of questions that I have, just because I don't see it. So, on your, on the basin, the outlet control structure, the outlet, I don't see the inlet.
It's a rectangular weir right now, but when we convert it to a stormwater, a detention basin, it'll need to have a low flow outlet to ensure that it dewaters within 72 hours.
A low flow outlet, but right now there's an outlet but no inlet that I see. I know it's there, I just don't see it on the plans,
Yeah, we have,
because otherwise it would just be a box.
yeah, it's this notch right here
Oh,
in the base, so it's a square. It would have a grate on top. but
Oh,
this-
so
this
the
would be
water would come in on the top?
No. It would be coming in on the face of the structure. It's not a circular, it's a rectangular weir.
Oh,
That's the
I see,
inlet.
I see, I wasn't, okay.
But there's also a grate on the top of that structure itself too.
And there's no settling in this is just going in and there's 6 inches between the bottom and the outlet?
There will not be, when we revise this design, there
Oh,
will be
there's
a low flow or, because we have to convert it to a detention basin,
Right,
we need to make sure that it will dewater within 72 hours. So it's gonna need to have an outlet at the bottom of the basin. And by switching to that, then it likely will need to have a sediment forebay on one end.
okay, all right.
To allow for that. And we think we can accomplish that within the same footprint, based upon our initial review.
Are you leaving the wick drain?
We, likely, for infiltration, we typically like to put the wick drains in, just based upon what we've seen happen. It can be helpful, and if you typically, with a wick drain, it stays closed. But if there is ever a need for maintenance, in basins that may not be dewatering properly over time, it's helpful to have the wick drain able to get the water out temporarily.
So the ball valve remains closed,
Normally,
and then during maintenance, you may open it up?
yes. Switching to an extended, to a detention basin, though, I don't know if there would necessarily be a need for a wick drain.
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
interesting, all right. What are the possibilities of low-impact design and having level spreaders put the water where the gap is up here, where the home, and having water off ramp
Sure, I mean,
earlier up instead of right next to the wetland and then therefore the road? I mean,
there's a driveway there now that has nothing, right? That's not doing anything to attenuate any runoff, and
no, but it's also fairly degraded as it is. It's much narrower.
right, so there's a higher potential to scour, right? Right now, stormwater is gonna create real erosion. Once it starts, it's gonna follow the existing driveway down, you know, so by having, you know, this new surface go in, I mean, we're using an open drainage swale with stone check dams. That's kind of by definition LID. We're not having a closed drainage system of catch basins and manholes and pipes.
Not really. You're taking the water, you're moving it completely around the wetland, and then you're essentially putting it either on the neighbor's property if we get a 100-year storm and it needs to use the overflow, or directly on the road, which I know you're saying it was going on, but it seems like you're directing it there now. I always have an issue with point source being directed at something, whereas before there was like a little more sheet flow happening on this.
We are not directing the point source at the wetland though, which also we try not to do. So there is no flow. Even in the 100-year storm event, the water is still 6 inches below this emergency spillway. We're required to have an emergency spillway. We
Yeah.
also discussed probably putting the spillway over on this corner of the basin instead, since there's another structure over here, even though our modeling doesn't indicate that it will be needed. But typically, you know, in projects that we've done, they don't want the water just washing out onto the street or coming out, you know, unattenuated onto the road. So we just felt that this is a very short distance to have the stormwater go from this BMP to an existing structure at a lower rate and at a lower volume than is currently occurring. So the area, this area around the BBW, the stormwater will continue to flow into it as it does now. So it's really this portion of the road that this is picking up here.
Would there be a consideration? Could you move the basin up, out from between the wetlands?
It just becomes a challenge of capturing enough area to be able to attenuate the stormwater, and then you're trying to get it out of the basin in a controlled manner down to the street. That part becomes more difficult. Typically, stormwater designs, your basins, your BMPs are always primarily with gravity systems are gonna be at the lowest elevations on a site.
No, I understand, or at least a step up from the site, you know, where the wetlands are. But it's right jammed in between these two wetland systems instead of above it. And there's no way to leave the sheet flow.
Again, this whole portion here is gonna continue to do what it's doing to the B series. Wetland and the C series is, the swale's not really doing anything to take away from that. These are all these contours, it's just picking up. I think these are more seeps, to be honest with you. You see on steeper slopes where you get breakout, you see that
You've
quite a
seen
bit.
that all over our town,
You know, so,
glacial till.
these are just kind of, I think, seep-driven, more by groundwater, personally. I've been out to the site myself, as well.
One of the things that our wetland scientist or peer reviewer noted is that wetland A and wetland B were likely one wetland at one point, and the driveway is fill, which, you know, the house was built in 1950, so it's not unreasonable to think that that's, you know, considering that there's, you know, the hydric soils even underneath the current driveway. If you go in with an auger and just do a quick, one of his recommendations is to actually put 2 small culverts underneath the driveway to connect the wetland systems.
That's, okay. Be,
To take care of the
Different.
problem that was caused in 1950 when they filled in the driveway.
yeah, you know, we're also, don't wanna be causing, well, it's challenging because there's not a lot of room to do anything there without doing work on the abutting property, which we're not intending to do at this time.
I am sharing the information that's on the document. Erosion control. Oh, do you plan on cutting trees on the property? Are you removing trees?
There may be some trees, along the road and the edge of the road, so I would say the most likely portion would be on the southern side of the proposed road, and around where the basin is going to be located. There would be tree removal needed.
And then, I'm just gonna jump around from categories, just because it's on my sheet.
Okay.
You're doing nothing but plowing the road? There's no salt or sand or anything that will take place because it's a gravel road? Or is there, will there be some type of something put on the road? And
Yeah, good evening. Karina McCandless, representative from Pure Sky Energy. I'm here with Eric tonight. So this road is going to be owned and operated by National Grid. So however, they treat their access drives to get into the last pole, that's what they'll do here. So they probably won't plow it too deep because they don't want to stir up all that gravel. And I don't think that they'll need to sand it or salt it. But they will be plowing it in order to get to the last pole and make sure that they get access there.
so that's a good piece of information for us to verify.
To discuss, yeah.
And just to know what they're doing. Why is it that you guys are presenting this and not National Grid?
It's a component of a project for the solar project. But this is a road that they have requested in order to bring the power line from Cronin Road to our solar site. But again, it is going to be owned and operated, and that's part of the reason for the design of the driveway as it is A, we wanted to take advantage of the existing conditions. So we wanted to use as much of the driveway as is already there as we could. And then they have this list of standards and requirements that we've been over for months, maybe not, if not years now, and trying to understand, where they could make concessions. So instead of an 8% grade slope or slope tolerance, could they do 10 or 12? Because it is fairly steep.
Mhm.
If you're looking at the slope lines right through here and then up through here, it gets pretty steep. So this is part of the reason why we are proposing as much grading as we are. Again, it's just getting back to those national grid standards and requirements. And I believe I've shared that with the
You did.
commission.
So this is actually pretty unique because National Grid typically is only concerned about the first few poles at the beginning, and then the rest of the poles are owned by the solar project. So on any given project, it's the interconnect poles that hold the interconnect devices that are the ones that are National Grid, and then the rest of it is ASD, ZPT, everybody else. So that means that really National Grid doesn't necessarily need that full access road, access road. It really only needs the pole farm.
Yeah, so that is what is proposed on here, is everything that is proposed is what they have said they need, including all of the
All of the
poles.
poles. It's a,
National Grid requires all of those poles as opposed to the ASD needing those poles. There is a difference, and there's a difference.
Yeah.
So I've only seen, and then they typically only, the alternative that they have been, depending on who it is, they've been putting the interconnect devices on pads instead of on the poles as well.
Mhm.
So instead of having the poles, they're using, alternatives for that. But again, usually the first couple of poles are National Grids, the rest would be ASDs.
we've seen that as well, but this is just to reiterate what Corey's saying, that, this is the layout. We've been going over this for months with them, and this is what they're saying. This will be for their poles.
And we talked about a pad mounted area, but the only place where they had said that that could go would be like right through here. And we didn't want to cause like even more impervious impact to this, this IBW area down here, rather than just placing a pole and requiring some tree clearing along here. So this is the culmination of months of work to identify areas of least impact. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it truly is. Because you know, again, just trying to use those, you know, existing conditions of, you know, the driveway that's already there, and minimizing the amount of tree clearing as much as possible. And again, those poles are, I beg you to think of this separately from other projects that you may have reviewed in the past, which I know Warren has very many. You've 11 or 12 solar projects in town now. So, you know, it can be different. The standards have been changing over the years. We've seen it ourselves within Massachusetts and in other states. Utilities are changing their standards, so this is a result of their current standards, and it really shouldn't be judged based off of something that may have been permitted 5 years ago.
I'm just surprised that they would be willing to own all of those poles when typically they haven't been willing to do that in the past on any of the sites. So it's an interesting transition. So that, to me, means that they really dramatically changed their, the way that they want to do business, and their willingness to work and own all of those poles. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that they would do that.
It was part of the interconnection service agreement that, you know, we brokered with them, and after several studies to try and figure out how to bring the power from, you know, up here in Brookfield and West Brookfield, you know, down to Cronin Road. We did end up having to pay quite a bit of additional money to require these studies for the amount of poles, where they're gonna go, and then the, you know, meetings and working with them that we've, you know, had to, you know, right now we're 8 months behind schedule because of this design.
Our peer reviewer, when he went on site up towards the top on the West Brookfield line, was curious why the driveway veers south, where it's very, you know, there's like a cliff drop off, versus staying to the north, where the current driveway is.
Through here?
Well, just on the top section, there is, what he was describing. I didn't walk the site, he did. He said there's a cliff drop off, and the access road veers over to that side instead of,
Right through here?
yeah, I guess that is, versus where the existing road is, it's less, you're not bumped up against the,
The road kind of ends where the house is, like right through here. So this part is cleared of trees from
yeah, and it looks like
their
there's,
yard, where the
what is-
yard used to be.
yeah.
And yeah, this is gonna be very steep, but this turnaround, this was also another National Grid requirement, that they asked for the turnaround.
Oh,
to
yeah,
go here.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So
so,
it's the pole, you know, it's the pole configuration that's driving this, and the need to have the road parallel to that with the turnaround. So, at the same time, we were
I think he
doing
was
earth-
just thinking that section that goes over here would be on the other side, and I'm gonna do this on the screen, so I'm not just waving my hands around. So instead of it turning and going here, it would go just straight, I think, is what he was saying. Why the turn over here when it's a steep,
It's to be able to get
drop off.
access to the poles that are along.
that would have been too
oh, because you need to
far.
tie in, that's where you would tie in on the site in West Brookfield?
Yes.
Oh, I see,
Brookfield,
okay.
Brookfield, this is Brookfield up here.
Oh, is that Brookfield? Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
And they have span maximums.
Yep.
We're looking at this too.
The other, I had a stormwater person quickly look at this. His comment was, why is the watershed that was calculated only including this particular site, and it doesn't go further up, even though there's a steeper, you know, it continues on? The hill continues up. So it looks like the watershed that was calculated for this particular thing is only on site versus the actual watershed.
Sure, yeah, I mean, you can always, that's fine. It's not, we're not changing anything offsite, on the adjacent property, so we can model it, but it's not gonna, the numbers are gonna still be relative, the same, like, the change is gonna be the same delta. You just, because the area that's up here, if we were to include it, is not changing, so.
Well, are the panels going to be there?
No, the town line right here, again, the commission, I wanna, like, again, the commission's jurisdiction, I understand there's stormwater coming down here, but, you know, here's the
Well, you're putting the
100-foot
stormwater
buffer
device in
zone.
jurisdiction, so the calculations regarding that, anything that ends up in there is now our jurisdiction. So my question is if there's panels, that will change the watershed, because panels ultimately are pervious, even though they're, often calculated as impervious. So will that add to the water that's going there? And it's just a question.
No, not in our opinion. That part of the project has its own stormwater BMPs.
And so no water from up there is going to end up going towards this direction versus the other side.
The project that is in Brookfield has its own stormwater BMPs. that are
I
addressing
heard that, but
so-
I'm clarifying to say that no water is going to be coming into this direction, because there's still a slope that goes up.
Yeah, and there are some woods here in areas that are coming down as they are now.
And there's also a large detention basin up over here too, right?
It's up,
Further up.
it's further up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm asking,
Sure.
because you brought that to our attention, saying that it's not really the full watershed and what is taking place in that location that could impact here. So without a straight answer, and we would
This
just like to
BMP is
know.
This BMP is mitigating the project that we have presented here to the commission. So
Sure.
This BMP is sized to attenuate the change in curve numbers from tree removal and the placement of the gravel driveway. So we can include more area, but it's not going to change between existing and proposed conditions. So I do not expect this BMP would be any differently sized as a result of that.
What are you doing for construction erosion control? Are you building the basin? I should probably ask, is the basin going in, are you putting that in first? Or are
Beals and
you?
Thomas doesn't dictate construction means and methods. If we can outline a sequencing plan, but the contractor, we don't decide how the contractor is gonna build the project. So if there is a sequence that the commission wants to dictate, that could be done. Beals and Thomas doesn't do that because we cannot control what the contractor does and how they intend to build this. We've designed it, but Beals and Thomas doesn't dictate construction means and methods.
So here's the things, any SWIP and construction general permit doesn't allow them to use this basin, although everybody does it. The finished basin shouldn't be used for construction stormwater. So where would it go? We always have this question.
Because it can't go on the road.
It can't go on the road, and it can't go in the basin, and if it does go in the basin, what are the protocols that you're gonna follow in order to make sure that this is a functioning basin and it doesn't fill up with sediment on a steep slope during, when are you gonna start construction?
Typically, we, have the special conditions provide the SWIP for the commission's review prior to construction. The contractor is a party to that typically, so we can outline a SWIP now, but we wouldn't have all the information at this time to be able to do that. So typically, we see it as a special condition where we provide that prior to construction.
So what you're saying is you want the commission to decide, and that's typically we get some type of construction stormwater plan set up when there's a basin on the project. I know it's a small project, it is a small project, but you have a basin, there's not a lot of wiggle room for this. What are you gonna do with the basin and how are you gonna handle that? Are they gonna rough cut the basin in and then finish it later? Are they going to have the outflow put in and then all of the sediment will go onto the street before the site is stabilized? You see where this is going?
Yeah.
It's
it
pretty
go-
basic,
it's-
so.
It's a SWIP, right. It's-
Right,
it's
but
the
not,
things that
but
get
typically we
flushed
don't.
out as part of the SWIP
This is
process.
the only time I have ever seen in the 12 solar projects and any other project that has a steep slope that includes a basin, there is always construction sequence stormwater that's submitted to us.
Okay.
Always. This isn't an entirely enormous request. We're asking you to think about what's gonna happen on the site.
Sure.
So we don't have water leaving the basin and that's turbid
Understood.
with solids.
Yep, we'll figure it out, but, you know, we cannot, Beals and Thomas is not gonna dictate construction means and methods ultimately, so. We will outline a plan and can prepare a draft SWIP, but, until the contractor's on board, that's the extent that we can take it.
Is that
So.
something that could be considered as?
I have been involved in, I've been at Beals and Thomas for 25 years, so I'm not just like, I'm also going off of what we typically do on projects, so we don't typically have a final SWIP at this stage, in my experience.
You know, I understand, but this is what
Sure,
we have gone through over and over again.
so,
If we rely on the builder to do the right thing, we would constantly be in an enforcement order. And that just makes more work for me
sure,
and for everybody else. It will definitely dig into your pockets because we will find somebody else to peer review it for us and constantly be on site. It's a little project. It doesn't take a whole hell of a lot to put together some type of precautions that are required by the builder to prevent turbid water from leaving the site and from managing whatever type of stormwater and erosion control that should be handled on a steep slope.
Let's take it back to the drawing board, and we'll see what we can provide at this time. But the goal of this first meeting with you folks is to introduce the project and to establish, you know, what it is that we're requesting. And if this is something that could be included as, you know, an order of condition, that something like this would need to, like a SWIP for this area would need to be provided, we're very happy to provide that at this time.
Okay, that would be fantastic.
Especially if it means, you know, avoiding issues that I'm sure you guys have seen before in other projects, and especially I mean, Cronin Road is not sorry for the residents of Cronin Road here, but it's not, you know, we certainly don't want water going onto the road and causing even more, you know, potholes or cracks in the road.
It is a country road, for sure, for
But
sure.
There's still the bylaw that says you cannot have any water going onto the road from the property. That's our bylaw.
Yeah, and yeah, we want to, you know, respect that.
So I will forward the peer reviewer comments, and you have Mark Stinson's comments, and then we will, you know, if you can get that to us, then we can haggle it out a little bit.
certainly. Yeah, again, it just, we're not the construction contractor, so that's the only reason why I just don't want it to be construed as pushing back. It's just, I just want to recognize that we're not, Beals and Thomas is not the construction contractor. We're not going to be building this. So there's limits in terms of how detailed we can get and how this is going to be constructed, because we're not building it. So if we can come up with a way, though, that we all can agree to, that has the protections that you're looking for, willing to do that. I'm just trying to draw a distinction between us as a consultant and the ultimate contractor that's going to be building this.
Okay.
So that's all.
I understand what you're saying.
We have worked for the commission on the Coy Hill project as
No, I know.
your peer review consultant. So we're aware and we understand what you're trying to do. And so I'm not trying to
We're trying to
push
prevent.
back. Yes.
Is what we're trying to
We're-
do, and then we don't
From our
have-
experience, we have been on that right? So I'm just saying, we have firsthand experience. I understand what the commission's trying to achieve, and we will come up with something that
Okay, that's great.
hopefully we can all agree to.
Okay,
Okay?
all right,
All
very
right.
good.
Thank you.
Before we adjourn, for this agenda item, so the wetland peer reviewer did have a chance to go out and walk it.
Went out and walked it, and I have a report, so again, I'll forward that to you, tomorrow morning.
Okay, great. And then the stormwater peer reviewer.
The stormwater peer reviewer, we're gonna wait for we're gonna wait for your next,
Okay.
there's no reason to spend the extra money.
Thank you. No, I
on,
appreciate that.
On anything until there are updates, and so it probably and most likely is gonna be fine with the updates. You know, again, keep in mind that ideally, that
Okay.
basin will be moved further up, but do what you do, and then we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate that.
all right, very good. So next meeting is,
December 11th.
is it? We seem to fall on the 11th. Okay, so are you okay with December 11th?
I think it's, that's enough time to get.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can I have a motion to continue the hearing?
Make a motion to continue the hearing for the NOI at 0 Cronin Road and 452 Cronin Road to December 11th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Kurt Dusty.
Aye, Philip Woodford.
Aye, Joyce Hacker.
Thank you, commissioners. Appreciate your
Okay.
time this evening.
Yeah, we'll see you next month. And then, yeah, you can send, you know, when you're done, you can send stuff over and,
Yeah, we'll make sure everything flows.
yes, I know you will.
I'm sorry for that.
No, it's good, it's good. Communication is good.
And then about the funds for both, just let me know if you think we will need more.
Okay, I don't think we will.
Yeah, okay.
I think we're good.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Stop share. Oh. There we go.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Okay, I'd like to open the public meeting for the 0 Old West Warren Road project for the safety complex.
Make a motion to open the public meeting.
Oh, you don't need a motion. That's okay. Corinne, do you have the
Safety complex?
the safety complex?
Yep. If you want to just pass her that, that's safety complex.
Fantastic.
This is-
So 2 months ago, the town administrator and the 2 chiefs and a few others came before us with a proposal, a couple of proposals for a safety complex, and this is located on Route 67. The project was going to be built in, the possible project would be built in buffer to wetland. And the designer of the project was able to build it outside of the 50-foot buffer and further. And then there was, and I have questions for you, Mr. Stinson. There is a non-jurisdictional stream on the site, which means that there is no pond or body of water or source of water up gradient from it, and it's mostly, it's probably groundwater It's,
Well, you don't go by upgrading water bodies, you go by upgrading wetland vegetation. So if there's no upgrading wetland vegetation, then it's a non-jurisdictional. So the definition of a stream is you have a defined channel
right,
with a hydraulic gradient, and it becomes jurisdictional when you get the presence of a wetland vegetational community at or above the location in the buffer.
it says a body of water, a wetland.
Forget the body of water, that's a stupid definition.
It's what the, I could, okay, anyway.
But it says, what, let me get the regs on a second.
We are,
10.04 street.
the definition,
And this is the first one, this is gonna connect over to this one. No, well, it goes over to.
Such a body of running water which does not flow throughout the year, meaning intermittent,
yeah,
except that portion up gradient of all bogs, swamps, wet meadows, and marshes. So if you've got a portion of the stream that's up gradient of any wetland vegetational community, that up gradient portion is not regulated as a stream.
the stream is up gradient from wetland vegetation, and it's not down gradient, it's down, you know, if it is, it's miles away.
Okay, this is on a hillside seat or what?
It's a hillside seat,
Okay, so is there any, when you have the channel,
yeah,
and you're standing at the channel,
yeah,
are there any wetland, is there a wetland vegetational
No.
community?
no.
Anywhere up the channel?
Very end. It flows into, no, it doesn't even go, no. No, there is no wet, there is wetlands, but there's just a field. There's-
Okay, so if there's no wetlands up gradient, it's not a regulated stream.
It's, yeah, it's not a regulated
And
stream.
there's no and the regulations don't say how long a stream has to be regulated.
It's the size of the field, right? It's, you know, 500 feet, something like that, who knows?
So
Okay.
there's no wetland vegetation in that field.
So for this project, we, they came before us with an RDA. So on the site is the non-jurisdictional stream, which they are going to cross. And then there's a wetland, which they'll build 50 feet from the buffer. So initially, the non-jurisdictional stream, we were going to treat as a jurisdictional stream because, just to be super safe. But with that, we could issue an negative determination with conditions if they remain outside of 50 feet.
Sure, but let me ask you, what about stormwater management? Is there gonna be any detention basin?
Yeah, there will have to be stormwater management, and it's gonna be in, right, so then we're gonna have to trigger that. All right, so we should just move ahead and issue a positive determination. Number one, and then that will just make it super safe.
That's the area question?
No, that is, oh, the area, I'm sorry, the work described in the reference plans is an area subject to, number 3, thank you, Mark.
+3.
Positive 3.
Let me see the +3 or 4.
It is 3, because number 4 is,
So it's not the proximity to the wetlands that will trigger the notice of intent. It's the fact that you got stormwater inside the buffer.
oh, it could be positive 4, the work described in the reference plans is within the buffer zone, and it will alter an area subject to jurisdiction under the act. Well, not really. I don't, the
Well,
language
it's
is,
assumed unless you have a good stormwater management plan. You don't know if the stormwater is gonna impair the wetlands nearby. You don't know because there's no stormwater management plan.
honestly, what's the difference between 3 and 4?
What's 3 say?
Work described on the reference plans is within an area subject to jurisdiction under the act and will remove, fill, dredge, alter the area.
And what does 4 say?
The work described in reference plans is within the buffer zone.
Oh, okay, so 3, jurisdiction under the act. So if you read the act, which is 13140, there's no mention made of buffer zone.
Oh,
All it talks about is resource area.
Okay.
So when it says subject to jurisdiction under the act.
See, I always
it
just
means
considered that.
Resource area.
all right. Should keep you around for a while.
So this is Deja. She's our new analyst.
This is Karen Dusty, and you know Philip Woodruff, have you met before? Mark Stinson is our circuit rider from DEP.
Okay, that's good to know.
And Deja is an analyst.
Yes, I'm an environmental analyst, and I work with Mark
How long have you been working?
8 months.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
How is it?
It's been a lot of fun so far.
He's such a nuisance, no.
I guess,
He's like a walking wetland dictionary.
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
But-
It's incredible.
Joyce probably has the most experience with reviewing solar projects than any other chair in Western Mass.
Probably.
You probably do, and the most experience. So anytime you have a problem, a question on solar, boom. So standard aid is what you were talking about, which is the construction period. So stormwater standard.
Oh,
aid is the
standard aid, yeah.
construction Period, the SWIP, the BMPs, all that stuff.
Right.
So they have to comply with standard aid. So yes, you can require a, sequence of events. And then you can always make it a special condition as well.
Yes, it will always be a special condition, but I want them to see it on the plans.
Right.
I don't know that I've ever received feedback, and we've always received, they've always submitted it to some degree,
Right,
because it's standard aid.
right. So I have some standard aid language I'm gonna send you tomorrow
Ah, okay.
for compliance. In fact, it's right out of volume 1, chapter 1 of the Stormwater Handbook.
Oh, right, okay. Interesting. Okay, can I have a motion, please, to issue a determination of applicability, a positive determination number 4,
So moved.
for the safety complex on Route 67.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye, Karen Dusty.
Aye, Philip Woodford.
Aye, Joyce Ihacker.
Yeah, we're doing it so many.
I learned that from Rich.
Yes, I know. We do that at our board meetings for workshop. Okay, this is good. We can sign this. Ray, are you just here to see that we are doing our job and signing this off?
Yes.
You're in good shape.
Yeah, I don't have anything I need to say.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just observing.
Where do you sign? Sorry. There we go. Did you did you give the bill to, the invoice for the paper to, ASD?
I was gonna ask you who it goes to.
Yeah, those two, one of those two. We'll send it, I'll give you, that woman
I have it
Corinna,
here, but I didn't know who to give it to, that's the problem.
you've been copied, there's a woman named Corinna that was here.
Okay,
I can still hear her out in the hallway.
You can email it to her, or you can go give her a copy,
Yeah, I
if
got
you
it
have a
right
hard copy. Oh, you can sign it and then put it on Did you sign?
I did.
Fantastic. What else do we have?
Do you want this back, or? should
I don't.
For Corinne?
We have the enforcement order for 276 Reed Street in Warren. Philip and I went to the site. It's ongoing. They've been moving things around. We had a complaint about, some people were keeping farm animals. I called you about this. Some people were keeping farm animals on a small property. Their neighbors were complaining because the animals were being housed near and were walking in a wetland. So it stunk, right? We asked them to move the animals and their habitat further out. Which is just a fence, they just had it fenced in. There were existing structures. We asked them to move that out because they were falling apart and decayed. They took care of it, so now things are back and they're moved away from the neighbor. Everything has been, I think they're doing okay,
They're doing okay.
Yeah,
They're complying with
They're-
our requests.
They're right, exactly. And so they have a little more to go, but they're mostly complying with our requests. Yeah.
Excellent.
Exactly. So that's it. They're not finished, so we're not gonna close out the enforcement order until, probably next spring when they get to, taking care of. There's something that's an existing platform. We asked that they remove it. They wanna use it. So we're just asking that they move it at some point, within the next few months, so, without dragging it through the wetland.
Ground should be frozen.
Right, it should be. We'll see if that actually happens. It should be. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I'm going to ignore you for a little bit because we have some bills to pay. Do you have any?
No, it's just been, 2-3 years since I've been out this way.
I know, it's
I
been.
used to come out a lot.
We were,
Especially when we were starting up the solar crap.
yeah.
Then I ran away.
So 2013 is the first solar project that we have here. So from 2013 until now, so it's over 10, it's 12 years.
I just got a phone call from somebody that was asking if we allowed private solar fields. And small private solar fields on private property. And I said, that's a good question for planning, but I do not think so. On the ground. I know we allow on the houses.
Oh, no, if it's, for somebody's house?
Well, they weren't forthright in that.
Okay, yeah.
Because I asked, are you doing this just for private? And they said, well, yeah, I kind of.
There's a definition in our zoning bylaw that explicitly states that, you, can build up to, or install up to 125% of, capacity of what you would use on site. Not exact language, but it's 125%. So if they're planning on doing something larger than that, then they would have to come before the planning board.
I sent her to Laura over in planning.
Yeah, but until that, yeah, okay.
So one other thing.
Yeah.
Remember, we used to do all those stream assessments.
Oh, yeah,
here in
yeah.
town,
The Scott Jackson.
Over in the Brookfields, West Brookfield.
Yeah.
So you should show these guys the website and all the stream crossings we.
So it's not called stream continuity anymore, it's called something else.
No, the website is still there, streamcontinuity.org, but it's blown up to be like 11 or 12 states now.
So we have had a couple of, we're part of Central Mass. Only DEP are we Western Mass. So we're really part of Central Mass. And complicated.
Worcester County, yeah.
Right, so, CMRPC had a couple of planning events
Oh, okay.
with us, over the past couple of years, and we pulled those stats up, the
good.
stream, to figure out, highway department infrastructure, upgrades, that type of thing, is exactly what,
Highway bus now?
Jeremy
Olson.
All right.
Olson, Jeremy's great.
Yeah, I mean, elected
Fabulous.
position,
Yes, but he is fabulous.
yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy's great. So we ended up, and he uses that, we all have
Oh, good.
brought that up. So yeah, it was kind of neat. Scott's project is,
Jackson's doing more training, but like Franklin County, Pioneer Valley, Planning Commission, everybody's jumping on this bandwagon for doing stream assessments. So more and more people are signing up.
so are they doing the same thing that we did?
Yeah, except now, if you look at the form, there's a lot more categories to check off.
All right, well, they just discovered they needed more information. That's all right. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I don't know, you guys know all the work we did on the stream crossings here in town. That was
No.
fun, a lot of fun. We
Yeah,
got
we-
wet.
we
We got wet
went-
together.
We did. We went to almost all of the stream crossings in town, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just us, there was a whole host of volunteers.
Right.
And then there was a whole, you had a clipboard and you answered a bunch of questions. What's the inflow, the outflow, what does it look like? You take pictures, you answer a series of questions. Is there a drop? Is there scouring?
Yeah,
Is
how
there,
big's the pipe?
how big's
much pipe
the-
do you have on top?
Yeah,
And how's
the
it
street
look?
bed.
Is it good condition, bad condition?
we did,
Brookfield had a lot of lousy crossings, bad shape. You guys Warren was pretty good, actually.
yeah, we had a couple that were, some of the bigger ones that, but I think that we had those replaced and upgraded too, so.
So anyway,
You should probably walk my property.
If it was on private, like deep in if the stream crossing where the road is.
Right, but right on, because I live on Bridge Street. So
Oh,
right
yeah.
here, the stream comes through my property and makes a bend and goes under the street.
Right. We definitely did, there's a few, the one that
Yeah, there
is
goes
under,
this way.
underserved right now, the one that causes the wetland to
That's
fill up
on, yeah.
on the other side, but
That's
there's a
on the
few
other
on
side,
Bridge Street
yeah.
that, one of them went, there's an intersection and it goes diagonally across
Yep.
the road and then
Yep.
it jogs.
That's the one that,
Is
my
that,
house is right there,
Oh,
where it
okay,
goes
all right.
diagonally across the street
Yeah,
and
yeah.
jogs.
we're like, how do they do this, right? Anyway.
no, go ahead and do your stuff. In fact,
Do the
you're
bills.
gonna Take off probably.
We've got bills. Well, it was really good meeting you,
It's nice meeting you.
and thanks, Mark, for coming out.
Anytime, and I'll send you that stuff tomorrow.
Okay.
So this is, an email we got, I just realized it has a plot plan, so I'm gonna have to forward it to you. It was an inquiry. I just realized there's a plot plan. Have a good night.
You as well.
Yep, good
Nice
night.
meeting you. Thank you for coming.
Nice to meet you. Have a good night.
Okay, she said, my name, I'm not gonna say it. I'm writing to ask you if you could use the delineated wetland boundaries information in the attached plot plan. I am having a surveyor coming out to plot out the land for a 2-bedroom cap house after my purchase of the land on Frog Brook Road. I'm writing to ask you if I could use the delineated wetland boundaries information in the attached plan. This way I could save money not having to have the wetland delineated again. An old plot plan shown that the delineation was done in 2007.
No.
She left her phone number. So do you have?
I can forward that. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that was there, otherwise I would have printed that too.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, if you get something like that, just email it to me. Anyway, but,
Okay, but I wanted to make sure you knew about it.
so here's the thing, we
I thought it was
can't,
just a question.
wetland delineations are good for, Mark left. if we approve a plan, if we approve and somebody built on it, it's good for 3 years.
Right.
Right, until the permit or whatever expires.
We can continue that, though.
We can continue it, but this is something 2007 is a long
That's a
time
long
ago.
time.
I was gonna say.
And so
seven
things
was-
could change, but she could, if she has somebody come out,
Well, she
no.
doesn't want somebody to come out, it sounds like.
Well, if they have a
That's what she's saying,
surveyor on
yeah.
there too. Boundaries, information, so I guess the answer ultimately is no, they actually have to go and have somebody come out and delineate the wetlands.
I mean, I can forward that to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or even tonight before I go home, I can hit the forward button. Did you guys want it too? The emails? Want me to forward that to you? Okay.
I think we're just ratifying those.
I was like, what are we looking, oh, but they're not signed. Oh,
Those are the new,
Okay, this one,
the new payroll.
how come you didn't get the signed ones?
That's all I got.
Okay.
Where would the signed one be?
I didn't forward her the signed ones. I have the signed ones.
oh. All right, well, we can just sign them again, should we just sign them here? Sure.
And what, the new
The
new one
forms
doesn't
they
go
have
out-
signed and I have turned in
but
for
this
you.
week doesn't go out till next week, right?
Correct.
Because it's this week and next week on one.
Correct.
Okay, so I didn't have that.
And then this one doesn't have anything on it. Oh, you don't, this is all you do now, you don't use,
We don't use that other sign
The
sheet
other
anymore.
stuff.
No, because it's all that way.
and then, didn't we sign these two?
If they're your last pay, yes.
So
we did
this
sign
week,
it.
there's nothing coming out. It'll be next week.
It's 10/20 through 11/2, so we already signed those two.
Yes, you have already
You
signed
got them,
those.
right? Yeah, I didn't have the signed ones.
Sorry.
Okay.
I-
We need to understand what our process is, because I'm actually frankly a little bit concerned, a little confused. But we'll just sign these for now,
Well,
because you're
yeah.
gonna submit them.
No,
Oh,
I
these
did.
I've
are,
already been
They've
submitted.
already
oh, they've been
submitted.
submitted, okay, but
You're
we'll just
just
sign them for the
ratifying.
file.
This was just for
Okay.
the approval.
All
Yeah,
right,
If you just let me, I forgot to send it to you when I got it back.
I didn't think of it
from
either.
Phil.
all right, so,
So,
can I have a motion to ratify payroll? And we have, what do we have here?
October 6th through to October 19th in the amount of $266.98.
Yeah?
And October 20th through November 2nd in the amount of $217.20.
Okay.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye, Karen Dusty.
Aye, Philip Woodford.
Aye, Joyce Ihacker.
You don't even need to sign them, because I'll just give her the signed ones.
Okay.
I'll just give you the signed ones.
Is that the way we're gonna do it? Just,
So we've been signing them online, and then you've been,
Then
well,
I've been turning
she's
them
been
in.
turning them in.
oh, you've been turning it in, so
Because she
just,
doesn't
So
work
I-
until
I get
Wednesday
it.
and they have to be in on Monday.
right, okay.
So I've just been turning them in, not thinking I needed to forward her the signed copies.
Well, I don't really need the signed copies as long as you guys approve
Well,
it.
you should get those signed copies for the file,
Okay.
so you should have it on your computer minimally, but if you
And just
keep
save it to a file.
and save it to a file, but you should keep the signed
Oh, okay.
copies,
All right.
right? So you have documentation, because she doesn't really need to keep it on her computer. You need to keep it on yours.
So you're gonna
'cause
forward it to me tomorrow then?
Legacy
I'll do
Okay.
it
and
tomorrow.
all that.
All right.
Okay.
You'll have it when you come to work.
And I'll just forward that other email to the three of you that I gave Joyce for that lady.
Did we do everything on here? The only thing that we haven't done, is, Justin Paquette did send an email a while ago, and I, haven't responded. Unfortunately, we need to go out, to look at that site to see if the vegetation has come in.
Okay?
So he sent another note thinking that, he said, I think the vegetation is in.
We can go look.
So we can go look.
There's not a whole lot of growing going on right now.
There isn't, although it has been warm up until, I don't know.
Saturday.
We haven't mowed our lawn in ages, but that doesn't mean anything. Right, exactly. So I'm not really sure. We just may have to
My
wait.
weeds are growing good.
Are they? Even still?
My mullein is growing really nicely.
No kidding. All right. That's fantastic.
No.
Well, I mean, who knows?
Sure. Yeah, we'll go take a look.
We'll go take a look. All right, then, we'll schedule a date to go and do that.
So were you able to get the extra plan for the peer reviewer? You said that you wanted it,
Yes,
and
I
I left it in there?
had, I gave him mine to
Do
use.
you want another copy or anything?
No, no, I'm totally set.
Because I got extra copies.
I
That's
am
why I brought them.
totally all set.
Oh, I
Okay.
did have a question, thinking
Yes.
about, it might be for the peer reviewer. This is for Cronin Road.
Yeah,
If he's got the A wetland that he's calling IBW isolated,
right.
and the B, they used to be one. If he's got hydric soils underneath the driveway, then that means there's probably a hydraulic connection between the two. That makes A no longer isolated.
Correct.
Right.
It's still a system, so that means he's gonna have more issues on that side. And I wonder if that would affect his driveway that he's putting on over there. Changes his plans again.
We'll see how he addresses that. I mean, the thing is that, it's a request. We can't make him do that.
Sure.
It's already filled in 1950. It's a
Right.
request to do that. It also could cause problems for if there's a house on the neighbors, they could suddenly have more. I'm not really sure where the source of this particular BVW, where the water is coming from, if it's groundwater, if it's, I think that there was like he said, there was a hydrant connection somewhere, it has to be.
Right.
So, they don't have to do that, and while we're visiting, that site, we can go across the street and take a quick look. The wetland is right across the street from, the house that we would,
Go visit.
Yeah.
the Justin Paquette, it's
Yes.
right across the street, so we could just go and take a quick look. It's all flagged and everything. So that would work.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And then see, we don't wanna cause problems for the neighbor,
True.
right?
Well, you
So-
can't, bylaws won't allow it.
No, the bylaws won't allow it, so that could, just be a moot point.
The bylaw won't allow causing problems for anyone.
According to the bylaws, you cannot have your water run onto
Oh, I
another
see what you're saying.
property or
Gotcha.
onto the road.
Gotcha, now I
You
understand.
have to contain your runoff onto your property.
Yes.
So, one of the things that, if there already is water running onto your
Right.
neighbor's property,
Correct,
you just can't increase it.
correct.
And the same thing for the road. You
Correct.
can't increase it. So what his plans were attempting to do, and probably successfully did, was to keep it at least at the same amount of water on it. It's always better to, if you're on site and you're changing things, you might as well reduce it. Is
Exactly.
my goal, is to reduce it and not to aim at the bottom. And I'd like to see what, the neighbor's property where the overflow that will never be used, what if it is? What is it aiming at on the neighbor's
Sure.
property? And if it's just woods, it's probably not gonna be a big deal because it won't be used frequently. But if it's something else that's important to them, like a driveway,
Yeah.
then I
And
would.
the other question is, has he gone to the highway surveyor to get a driveway permit?
I don't know yet. Jeremy's in the loop though. I've sent Jeremy,
Okay.
the plans. I told him the hearing was tonight. So we'll see.
Okay, good,
He's aware.
good.
He's aware. And yeah, as is, I sent, Bill, Cantel,
Good.
the documentation, because I had a couple of questions for him, but, yeah. We should be good. All right,
So the only thing we signed is the certificate of compliance.
that's the only thing we signed, was the certificate of compliance and the, determination of applicability.
Where is that?
Philip put it on your desk. So it's probably on,
Determination
in the
of
middle of the folder.
applicability. Oh, all right, so it's right in public safety, right there. Yep, perfect. All right. So I'll put that on top.
yeah.
All right, So we did sign 2 things.
Is there any other mail, any forest cutting plans?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nope.
Okay, fantastic.
Motion to adjourn.
Nothing.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, so I'm
Second.
putting
All in
that
favor?
on the top.
Aye, Philip Woodford.
Aye, Karen Dusty.
Aye, Joyce I. Hacker.
So this.
Okay,
We're adjourned at 8:36.